Hi, everyone. Thursday night, 9 o'clock South African time. Time for the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. What a weekend of rugby we got ahead of us. Just chatting with the boys now, just before we came on air. Great international rugby to look forward to. A big pity that it's over. But on the other hand, look ahead to next weekend, and we've got some good rugby as well. We've got the United Rugby Championship and the Gallagher Premiership returning, so we'll get stuck into that. But first, let's introduce the guests, and I'm going to start at the top of my screen at UK Rugby Bets. He hasn't been on the show for a while. We've been just missing each other, but great to have him back on. Alex, welcome back to the show. Good to have your input tonight.
Cheers, Brent. Yeah, thanks for having me back. I've been fairly busy recently with work and other stuff, but I've still managed to find time to watch the show. It's been some great shows recently, and yeah, you boys are on some quite good form, actually, especially you, Brent, at the moment. So I'll be definitely following the newsletter and some of your tips afterwards. But yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into some big games this weekend. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
The chances are the newsletter tip might be your own tip, so don't get too excited about that one yet. But yeah, I was just telling you guys before, I mean, that England try for me was absolutely huge. It delivered a big double for me on the over 44.5 points with the Scotland game, and then also had England minus as well. So yeah, it was a good weekend. And I know a man who's also looking to fire in the last internationals of the weekend is the unders taker, Henrik Swart. Henrik, great to have you back, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. Always nice to be on. Yeah, you've been in great form, the last 2 weeks. So yeah, I hope you can lead us a bit tonight and give us a few strong fancies.
Don't hold your breath for me leading. I'm hoping you boys are going to guide me in the right direction. I must admit, I had some strong fancies early in the week, but I'm probably not quite as strong now, funny enough. But let's invite, welcome all the guys in the live chat. There's Oracle, and I see a question there from Mark. Where is Oracle? After his New Zealand will destroy Ireland. Well, that's why he's in the live chat and not on the show. No, I'm only kidding, Mark. But yeah, good to have Oracle watching the show as well. I thought Oracle might do a show this week about Rassie Erasmus. I suppose that announcement was only made late yesterday, but might be something for Oracle to discuss on his show there with Mike Greenway as well, the whole Rassie thing. I'm sure we'll touch on that when we get into the South African game. But, gents, let's get straight into the action. We've got some great international rugby. We're going to start off with one of the lower key games because I'm going in the order of kickoff here. And that's Scotland minus 18.5 v Japan. And, Alex, let's start with you on this one. Scotland beaten by 15 by South Africa last week. The week before they beaten Australia. What's their mindset going to be? Can they beat the handicap here against Japan?
Yeah, there was a great first half for them last week. I think they needed that first half, and I think they were hoping that they could get off to a bit of a run and then try and keep it going. But in the end, the Boks just in their very Bok way ground out a very impressive victory in the end and run out 15-point winners. So I actually had a couple of bets on the go. I had Scotland on the plus, which didn't land. I did land a Scotland at half time Boks to win at quite a good price. And actually, I'm going to use that again in the England Boks game this weekend. But yes, I was surprised to see actually that the Scots have gone pretty fully loaded in terms of especially in terms of their backlines. A few changes in their forwards. Hamish Watson's back in again. I'm surprised he didn't start last week against the Boks, but he's back in. And I thought they might rotate a little bit and give a few of the other fringe Scottish squad players a game, but it shows they want to put a bit of a performance in. I don't know whether the fact that they've kind of scraped by Australia, didn't make it against the Boks, and Ireland put 60 on Japan, maybe this is Scotland's chance to actually run up a bit of a score. Obviously that Tonga game probably didn't really count in their mindset, but I think they're really going to be targeting this game. And I actually fancy Scotland here. I think there's a chance of a bit of rain around Murrayfield on Saturday afternoon, but it doesn't worry me too much as long as it's not torrential. So I actually quite like the minus here. I took minus 17.5, so it's come out a little bit. I think probably because the Japanese have made a few changes as well. And I think their front row's changed. I think Matsuyama's now onto the wing. They've got a new 10 and an inexperienced 13. So there are a few changes that Jamie Joseph has made. They've had quite a long, tough tour. They nearly lost to Portugal last week. I watched a bit of that on YouTube, and they just scraped by. They're just not the same side recently. I don't know what's up with them. But they've not really had a great autumn tour. So I think the Scots will go well here. I think they'll want to run up a bit of a score and try and put a bit of a statement down that they aren't messing about. They've been a bit of a bogey side, Japan, for Scotland, going back to that World Cup. So I think this is their chance to put that to bed and try and get a big good one on their bench. So I like the minus here. I'll wait for points as well, but so far I'm on the minus.
Yeah, I'm so interested to see the points line on this one. This is a sort of game where I'll certainly be looking at like a Scotland overs tries or something like that. I certainly do like the way they play rugby. Oracle making the point there that Japan may be a little bit tired. Certainly is a chance of that. Let's go on to Henrik. Henrik, any firm views on this one?
Yeah, Brent, I'm in the same camp as Alex here. I also like the Scots here. Like you said, Japan just seems they're not the same side that they used to be. And Scotland, they lost to the Box last week, but it's tough playing against the Box. So I expect Scotland to bounce back here. And this handicap is at least a converted try too low in my opinion. So I like the minus strong here, and I like points as well. I just checked the weather. It's 0.8 millimeters of rain predicted. That's nothing. That's nothing for the day. And the last of that ends before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it might be a little bit greasy, but not really. I don't see the rain having any effect here. And I expect the buff points here. So it will be really interesting to see the points line. If I remember correctly, this is the game that Brendan Pickerel is reffing, so that's the only slight concern. But even with him reffing here, if the line is mid-50s, I'll be all over the overs here or overs on Scotland points.
Interesting to see the guys in the live chat very much on the same page as well here, saying go for the Scots, not really liking that Japanese team. I can tell you just looking back on the Good for the Game forum where did my initial handicap, I went 14.5, and I see the cap open 15.5. So there's definitely been money. And based on what you guys are telling me, we can expect this line to potentially move even further, perhaps into the early 20s by the time kickoff comes there. So we're quite firm on Scotland on this one. And I think all of us are waiting for the points lines as well. And in fact, I've started moving for certain teams. I like to take a tries over as opposed to even a points over. And this could be one. I'll be looking at Scotland, depending, of course, on what that line is. But panel nice and United, you can bet this one. If it's not in the newsletter best bet, it's certainly going to be thereabouts in the accumulator. But let's move on to the next game. It's a big one on the weekend. Well, certainly for many of us, it's the biggest game of the weekend. And it's England up against South Africa at Twickenham. And Hendrik Swart, I'm going to start with you here. We had a situation where I actually priced this as England plus 2.5. I know that Sunbet opened England minus 2.5. World Sports Betting were around the 1.5. There hasn't been a tremendous amount of movement, but no doubt about it, Hendrik, there's been sentiment for South Africa here. Well, sentiment's not the right word. There's been money for South Africa here. And that has forced them into the position where they're now pretty much favourites on, I think, all books at the moment.
Yeah, Brent, I got onto 19-20 and 9-10. At the bookmakers, I can bet. I wasn't able to get the box at even money or better, but I'm very happy at that price. And I've got serious money down in the box. I like the box very strongly, and I placed my bets before I knew about the World Rugby snub and the Rassie Erasmus thing. But that obviously would motivate the team. But even without that, I would be very strong on the box here. I like the box, the way they play. It's just so tough playing against the box. They give you nothing. The defense is so solid, and that forward pack, you've got no chance with the scrums. Their line out is great. They steal balls. Their own ball is solid. They've got a good maul. They are so organised and so well coached. So it's. I just can't see anybody going against the box. And the way England played last week against Australia, they got the job done. They won by double figures in the end. But that was against a poor Australia team, in my opinion. And England really didn't impress me. I would definitely not bet on South Africa by 1-12 here. I think you might be in trouble here. I can see the box pulling away here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the box winning by 13 plus here. So I'm very, very strong on the box this week.
Well, I'm busy bringing up live comments as you're talking there, Henrik, and the guys are once again singing off the hymn sheet. We normally have a bit of disagreement in the panel here, but I think the only disagreement here is whether you back the box for a narrow win or a big win, it looks like the guys are saying here. all coming out in favour of the Boks. So let's see now. We've got a guy from the UK on the line now. Let's just see if he's prepared to come out and back his English.
In a short word, no, Brent, I'm not. This is a tough one. England have a number of changes that they didn't want to make. I think the guys in the live chat are pointing out that Jamie George is out. So we've got Lemire starting, and then we've got a debut off the bench for Nick Dolly, who's been good for Leicester Tigers, but he's very inexperienced, and against the bomb squad coming off the bench, it's a real challenge for him. So that's the main reason. The upfront battle and Joe Marler's been in isolation until tonight. Comes out tomorrow and goes on the bench tomorrow. He'll do captain's run tomorrow, but he's not trained with the team all week. So England know that they're light on the front row. Elsewhere, Farrell's not injured, so Smith's playing with Slade and Tulangi, which I don't mind, but yeah, it's a tough ask for Marcus Smith. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and I really hope he steps up and proves me wrong this weekend and delivers an English victory. But I can't see anything else apart from a Bok win here. I think I mentioned earlier I am going to have a little punt on England half-time, Boks full-time at 7-1. Of the last 5 games, the Boks have played Northern Hemisphere sides, including the Lions, so the Welsh and the Scots. This has landed 4 out of 5. So I'm happy to take a bit of a punt on a longer odds to see if England can come into half-time with a narrow 12-9 victory, and not 12-9 in the lead, and then I think Boks second half will blow them away, as the guys are saying in the chat. So I'm happy to take a bit of value there. I haven't taken Boks on the minus or 1-12 yet. I think I'm going to wait nearer the time. And I'll see the points line as well. I'm not sure what that's going to be. That's going to be an interesting one. But I'm very similar boat. I think the Boks will edge it. I don't think they'll run away with it, but I think I can't see anything else apart from a Bok victory here.
Right, so we've even got the Englishman going for the Bok victory. Just sharp brain, I wanted to bring up this comment. The bookies are trying to make South Africans rich with these odds. And it's interesting you mentioned that. I was thinking about it today. The sentiment for South Africa has been so strong that I would have actually expected a bigger movement in the betting. So, in other words, I reckon, some bookies open sort of choice game. With the amount of people that are saying South Africa, I would have expected this line perhaps to go out to -3.5, -4.5. And I think it's almost a testament to the support that England will still get from the England supporters over there. You know what I mean? We see it quite often. The English they fancy themselves. Someone like yourself's a punter, so you analyze the game from a punting perspective. But there are going to be plenty of guys in the UK who are English fans who will back England because of the fact that they're English fans. And I almost agree with Sharp Brain now. I think that gives us an opportunity perhaps to get a bit of a better price than we would. Do you think there's any logic to that, Alex?
Yeah, entirely agree. I think it's similar for, I think generally most games. I think because of the English belief, I think every game is always a couple of points higher than I think it probably should be at. So yeah, I've definitely noticed that, and yeah, sometimes it's difficult to remove my English loyalty and look at the bigger picture, but I can't see anything else. And I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong, and I hope Marcus Smith pulls some absolute wizardry out of his magic hat. But I think logic will prevail, and that Bok bomb squad will prevail, and I'll edge it in the second half.
I sort of pop back to Hendrik there. Hendrik, you made a comment on the live chat there. You're just saying the problem with the Boks 1-12 is you don't see England scoring a lot of points. So we haven't got a total points line up here yet, but I'm guessing we're going to see for this game probably similar to what we saw for the Scotland game, maybe 46.5 or something like that. You're looking at an England unders potentially, or are you involved enough on the Boks as it is?
Yeah, no, I'm involved in the Boks enough, Brent. I just want to win. But look, my money's down, and I'll probably want to put some more down, and I'll probably go unders then on England points. But because it's a choice game, we might actually get a nice. You probably get 20-21 thereabouts on England. What do you think, Brent? And then I'll definitely be on unders because I can't.
Yeah, you might get about 21.5, and maybe the Boks 23.5, 24.5 by kickoff or something like that.
Yeah, thereabouts, and then I'll definitely be unders on England. I can see England maybe scoring 2 tries, but not even now, because I think England will be dominated up front, and the box defense. The other thing, they did concede 2 tries against Scotland, but yeah, I just don't like the way this England team is playing, and I wasn't impressed last week. So yeah, I'd like the unders. Yeah, but I really think that 1 to 12 box is a dangerous bet. Just rather take the box just to win. If you fancy the box, I know it's a better price on the 1 to 12, but I think that's a bit dangerous.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I do like the 1 to 12 bets in some cases, but as I always say with the 1 to 12, I never forget this. You're always one score away from losing your bet as well. You can never relax with that 1 to 12 market. It does offer a little bit of a better price at times, so I certainly wouldn't talk you out of it necessarily. But in this game, I'm with you, Hendrik. I wouldn't be getting too carried away on that. Anything, Alex, from maybe a first try scorer point of view, anything that you would have lined up at this stage?
I haven't really looked too much at that. I think I had a look at some of the prices. They're all pretty high because I think the bookies are not expecting too many tries here, so you can get pretty good value there. I've been going with Marks to score last try for a while. I think I've been mentioned a few times before. I do quite like that. I think that's one angle that's quite good. I think in the second half, I think it might go to the corner a little bit. So Marks to score last try or last box try, have maybe some value there, but I don't think I'll touch anything on the first try score. I think it's just it's not expecting many tries, so I wouldn't get involved in that side.
Right, yeah, can't wait for this game. I must say, picking the New Zealand best bet isn't going to be easy. I think we've had 3 winners in a row now, including an accumulator somewhere in there as well. So a bit of pressure on tomorrow, but yeah, I'm certainly looking to fire after a good couple of weekends as well. Let's stay with you, Alex, for the next game. We've got Wales up here against Australia. Now, I handicap on the Good for the Game forum, and there's a link down below. I handicap on a Sunday night normally if there's big games coming the following weekend. I actually handicapped this game. I'm just going to look. I thought Wales would be like plus 5.5, and then the handicap came out. It came out of choice. Now, when there's a 5-point difference between me and the books, I've got to make a quick decision. Either the bookies are wrong and I'm going to fire, or I have to acknowledge that my handicap was wrong. And what I realized here when I saw the sentiment of all the other lads and that, I realized, okay, I got this one wrong. So I have not fired on Australia by any means. And in fact, the money has continued to come for Wales. The choice game has really gone to the point where we've got Wales minus 2.5 now. And Michael Hooper, of course, out for Australia as well. What are you doing in this one?
So, yeah, this is a tough one. Actually, thinking about this probably more than any other game this weekend. I watched the Wales-Fiji game at the weekend. I was on some Fiji overs tries, which didn't come in the end, but they were really good. I'm really impressed with Fiji, and Wales were, for the most part, poor in that game. And some stupid Fijian ill discipline massively cost them. You've got to keep players on the pitch to win games, and if you don't, you're going to be in trouble against tier 1 sides. So Wales, obviously, a couple late tries from Louis Rees-Zammit. Gas. That try was, well, it shouldn't have been a try, but the try that was given was unbelievable. I don't know how he caught that guy. Absolutely bombed past him. He's absolute wheels. But they were generally quite impressive. They have made changes this week. There's a few players that are back in. Wainwright's come back in the second row. I'm trying to think. I think Holo's back in the midfield. So there are a few Welsh changes. Australia has been just generally quite disappointing. I think everyone probably expected it more of them coming off the back of a decent rugby championship season. So I think they've generally been quite disappointing, and they haven't really offered too much, to be honest. In either games any of the games they've been playing so far. So neither of the team really have been great for me recently, which is why I've been struggling to kind of work out what I'm going to do. Sorry. I actually quite like Australia on the plus here. I've taken a bit today. I think I got +4, so +3.5. So it's not a really confident bet, but I'm happy to kind of take a little bit on the plus because I just really disappointed with Wales last week. I think their main focus for this autumn window was South Africa. they played well in that game, but I think they emptied the tank on that game, and I think that's why they were disappointing last week. And I just can't see them pulling back a big performance this weekend. And I think Australia will have been dug out a lot back home after quite a disappointing few games. I think they'll want to end this tour on high. They've made a couple of changes as well. Obviously, no Hooper is a concern, but Dangunu's back in. I like him. I don't like Tom Wright, so I was pleased that he wasn't playing. So I'm happy to take a little bit on the plus here. It's not a really confident bet. It's just a feel for the game. So I've taken some Australia plus.
Right, it's interesting. Mark making the comment, and he's echoing your thoughts exactly. Wales are poor, and so the Aussies. It might be a 50-50 game. And if it's a 50-50 game, you've got to think Australia plus is the call there. But yeah, Wales have. I mean, I got up last week with my bets. They actually wrapped up a great weekend for me. But I got to say, I felt very lucky. And another red card working in their favour. And I know, Henrik, that you always say red cards overestimated. And I agree with you. And I think you've proven it on the betting front. But at the end of the day, they do still make, or they can potentially still make a bit of a difference, especially when the other team get a yellow card and they go down to 13 men. And yeah, I just wasn't impressed with Wales. But what do you think? Yeah, I know you haven't been particularly impressed with the Aussies either.
Yeah, Brent, last week in the end, the red card and, like you said, the yellow cards for Fiji did tell. And yeah, Fiji, they were really impressive in parts. And like you said, Wales, they were disappointing. I expected more from Wales, and yeah, I was lucky. I was on the Wales minus, and I was lucky in the end. During the game, I called Fiji to pull through and win, and I thought they would actually win, but yeah, they ended very badly. They started so well, and yeah, I think in the future, Fiji, they are a team to look out for. They're getting better, and I think they will continue to improve. On this game, I'm going against Alex here. I'm on the Wales minus. Not too confident, but I think the minus is the way to go. Like Dino said on the chat there, I think Hooper, the loss of Hooper is massive. It can't be understated. It is a massive loss for Australia. He is very important to them. Not only his leadership, the way he plays, he is everywhere, and he gets those crucial turnovers. He gets to go forward ball. He just does everything in the way he manages the refs as well. So I think that just the Hooper loss swings me to the minus. And yeah, Australia haven't been impressive, and Wales neither. But at home, I just think with Hooper not playing, the minus is the way to go. Yeah, I can't back Australia without Hooper. Yeah, and I see all the games this weekend as good weather. So even with the roof open, at last we'll get a good weather at Cardiff as well. So I think the way these two teams play, there might be some points as well. Yeah, because Australia they've leaked a bit as well at times. So it would be interesting if it's in the low 40s. I would have a look at the overs here on total points.
Yeah, funny. I'm also leaning overs. They're just saying Emil's saying he doesn't see the Aussies going home winless. If you want to know what Emil's pedigree is, he must have won the biggest ever sports betting vouchers ever given away on YouTube. And I don't think many of them have been given away. So I can say that with confidence. Emil, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was about 20,000 Rands worth of GG Gaming vouchers you won when we used to do the GG Gaming Gone Mad show. So, yeah, let's take what he says seriously there. Having a look, no Karevi and Cooper, that's fair enough. But yeah, I think this game is, for me, one where I'm probably going to be looking to the total points. And funny enough, now at the handicaps, I'm starting to also lean a little bit towards Australia, but nothing strong there at all. Henrik, will stay with you for what I consider, I know I did say England, South Africa, the big game of the weekend. They don't get much bigger than this. You know, I was watching the breakdown on last night or the night before, I can't remember, I was watching it. I have seldom seen the All Blacks, as the presenters, as rattled as they were. And it really comes down to that Irish win last night. Now, Ireland was our best bet in the newsletter at plus 10.5. They absolutely dominated the game. Halftime 10-5 down despite dominating. I must say I feared the worst then, because it's like I think it was Brendan O'Connell saying, we've seen this script before. You know, you dominate New Zealand and they come back and they beat you comfortably. But they kept it up in that second half. It was amazing performance. Now we got a handicap plus 5.5 the French. Can you trust either of these sides at the moment?
Now, Brent, the French, they've let me down twice now in 2 weeks. First against Argentina and last week against Georgia as well. I expected a better from them. But like you know, I don't bet on New Zealand at the moment. It's either no bet or I go against them. I think the plus is the way to go. Yeah, it is in Paris. It's a home game, and like Brendan Wessel said last weekend on one of our chats, New Zealand is the game the French get up for. So yeah, I think the plus is the way to go. Yeah, and I know you will have money down on the French to win the game as well, and I think that's a good move as well. Yeah, this New Zealand team, and now I had a quick look at the team as well, and that those two centers, in my opinion, very poor center combination. Quinto Paya, when he started off playing provincially in the NPC, he was amazing for Waikato. At Super Rugby level for the Chiefs, he was there and thereabouts, not great, and at international level, he has not been proven. Enrico Ioane is a great wing. He's one of the best wings in the world. I don't know what they're messing around with him at 13. He's a poor center. So yeah, I think the French will target that center pairing, and I like Interback back at 10 and a proper center pairing for the French. Yeah, the French scrum, I think, will have the upper hand here as well. New Zealand haven't been that great in the scrums. They obviously have Aaron Smith back, and that's big for them. He hasn't played at this level for a while now, but that probably won't be a problem for him. He's a class player, and they do need him. But yeah, I just think the French is the way to go.
Yeah, interesting one. I mean, I was actually lining up a big bet on the French, Henrik. But funny enough, it was before the New Zealand lost to Ireland, because like the guys are saying in the live chat, when was the last time New Zealand lost 2 in a row and all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going for the French, and I'm going for them on the board. I've looked at the New Zealand performance last week, and people talk about them being in the bubble and they're tired and all that sort of stuff. I can tell you they must be absolutely buggered after that game against Ireland. I've seldom seen a team put in so many tackles, and credit to New Zealand. They kept Ireland out in that first half. They kept them out for long periods. I can't really fault their defense, to be totally honest, but they must be absolutely out on their feet. And I saw Brody
and they're just poorly coached. New Zealand are poorly
coached. And Brody Retallick, I saw him interviewed on the breakdown, and I looked into those eyes, and I just didn't see a team that was going to come back and beat the French. So yes, I like the French on the plus. I also like the French to win the game, but yes, I've also lost on the French 2 weekends in a row, so I'm a little bit wary. But let's see what Alex goes. Alex, I'm a little bit indecisive on this game. What are you going with?
I'm on the plus as well for this game. So I actually had French unders last week. I didn't think they were going to score 70 odd points or whatever the line was. Oh, no, that's now 60 odd points. And I was happy to take that. I thought they would save themselves for this game. I was actually really surprised to see that they benched Jalibert and gone with Anton back at 10. I think I kind of thought by picking those two for the Argentina and then George again, they were trying to get a bit of a partnership going, but they've obviously decided that's not the way to go and gone back to more of a 12 in Dante, and then obviously Fiku at 13. But the French are just going to be absolutely ready for this. They absolutely love flying to New Zealand, and they get so up for it. So that Irish game, I was as a neutral watching a game. I didn't actually have any money on that game really, but as a neutral, it was a spectacle. I was so impressed with Ireland. It was 230 odd tackles New Zealand made. So I completely agree, Brent. Like, that is an obscene amount of tackle for any team to make, let alone an all-back team, which only had 35% of possession. So I know they've made a few changes. Aaron Smith coming back is big for them. They needed that. I know hearing that TJ Perinara got a lot of the stick for last weekend. I mean, he's out of the squad now, and they've got Webber on the bench. But Smith back at 9, and will clearly try and distribute. I think they'll try and play a lot wider this week. I think they'll really try and stretch the French team. But I think the French will do this. I think they're going to keep it very tight. Jelonch will kick any penalty, whether it's on the touchline or whether it's from his own half. His boot is unbelievable. So I don't see a lot of tries in this game at all, especially on the French side. They'll just keep taking the threes when on their offer. So maybe 1-2 French tries, but I can't see much more than that. So But I like the plus here. I don't think I'll do. I think I'll go on the board. I think I'm happy with 5.5 on the plus, and hopefully watch the French come alive.
Yeah, and I must say, I've seen a few comments, not only in the live chat, but on the forum and that sort of stuff, where I've seen guys talking about an open, high-scoring game. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Alex. I think this is going to be a tight one. I do think the penalties are going to be taken. So for me, I'm looking perhaps maybe we'll get a 4.5 unders tries or something. Yeah, I'm thinking this could be an unders. And Henrik, I see you nodding there as well. You think this could be a really tight one?
Yeah, I agree 100%, Brent. Even with the weather being good, it's a late evening game. I think this is a classic unders game. There's not sure who the ref is. Haven't checked that. Well, I checked the refs earlier in the week, but I can't remember who it is. But yeah, this just I think it will be an arm wrestle. I think the French will come up trumps in the end. But yeah, definitely an unders game here for me.
Thanks for correcting me. I said Jelonch kicking. That's the number 8. It's Jaminet kicking. Got the number 8 doesn't kick. It's the fullback Jaminet. Thank you for correcting me, Mad Dog Odds.
That reminds me, they showed at Twickenham last week, they scanned over into, I suppose, one of the VIP sections, and there was old John Eales, the Australian great. I'll never forget that guy. He played lock forward and he would kick for posts. It was unbelievable. What a talented player. Anyways, gents, this is going to be a really exciting. I mean, what a run of games we've got. I mean, especially England, South Africa, and France, New Zealand. But the good news is we've got some international rugby on Sunday for those of you that are either looking to double up on your profits, perhaps, or alternatively are chasing. And I'm going to tell you straight up front, I don't have a firm view on this one at all. And let's start with Alex and see what you think. Minus 13.5 Ireland against Argentina.
So I made a move on this one, I think yesterday. And I thought I'd probably leave this one later to the week to wait for teams. They're not out yet. But I've seen the rough team the Argentinians are putting out on Twitter, which looks to be a pretty solid team. A couple of changes, I think the back row, but generally a pretty strong Argentinian team. They've been a bit of a mixed bag. Well, poor. I think everyone thinks they're not been the same side that they have been before. Didn't have a great rugby championship. They did put the Italians away last week, which was probably to be expected, but I actually thought they might be a bit of a banana skin there. But in the end, they broke free and got a win they needed. And they had a bit of a poor run. But I actually have taken the plus here. I got plus 14.5, I think. It's not a massive play, but I do think that the RGs will want a big last victory, a big last performance. I even think for a bit of value, 1 to 12, Argentina wouldn't be the worst player in the world. I'm not sure what price that is, but I don't know why I've got a feeling they're going to turn up for this one. They've been, very much mixed bag and not really putting the performance in. They've not been the same side they have, but I just got a funny feeling that they're gonna think about how, and obviously from an Irish perspective, they were out in the town. They're also going to be battered and bruised after a physical game last week. This is their last game. I think they'll make some changes. I think there's talk of Carberry playing at 10 and Murray coming in at 9. And I'm sure some of those forwards are going to be rotated after that week. And I think from a coach's point of view, Andy Farrell, looking at what he's kind of seen over the last few weeks, I think he's going to be very happy and want to give a few other players some game time. I think he knows probably what his best side is at the moment, and it's time to start looking further ahead and giving a few other squad players rest. So I've gone a bit early before the teams are out, but I quite fancy the RGs on the plus here. Not a really confident play, but I think they'll compete in this game. I don't think it's going to be a whitewash or a runaway like they did against Japan. I think they really will compete in this.
Yeah, I see quite a bit of division here in the live chat. Oracle going for Argentina on the plus, Mark pointing out that Oracle does tend to go against the Irish, but Oracle assuring us it's not on purpose. Henrik, I'm battling with this game. That's pretty much where I handicapped it. But also you get that feeling that, Ireland, I mean, they're a great side and they can win it. There's no doubt about it. But you just wonder if it's a bit like England in the semi-final of the Rugby World Cup, where you say they played their final against New Zealand. And And Ireland won such a high, and now having to come back and play Argentina, are they perhaps vulnerable for an upset?
Brent, exactly that what you said at the end is my thinking as well, because Ireland had this big game against New Zealand last week, and now it will probably be a bit tough to get motivated for this game. And Argentina, after a very poor rugby championship, where I successfully took them on in most of their games, the last 2 weeks I got burnt on them, first against France and last week against Italy. So yeah, they've actually impressed me a bit the last 2 weeks, the way they've been playing, and cost me money as well. So yeah, this is a tough one, and because it's a Sunday game, my focus is more on the Saturday games. This is not a type of game I'm making an early move on, so I haven't really had a proper look at this, and I'll probably only Sunday at midday start having a proper look and getting my bets on this one. Just I have no real firm view. I see in the comments that there's a few crucial players not playing for Ireland, and like Alex said, Argentina should be picking a solid team. So I think the plus is probably the right way to go here, just because of all the circumstances and the games that has been played before this and all that. But yeah, not confident, and yeah, like I said, I'll probably only on Sunday start looking more properly at this game.
That will depend what the mindset is. One thing I can be sure of is you probably won't have a headache like Joe Lyons had on Sunday morning. It's amazing. We got a lot of Irish viewers of this show, and I'm sure every single one of them got absolutely hammered on Saturday night of that victory over New Zealand, and rightly so. What a great victory it was. I must say, yeah, I'm not firm on anything on this game. I've also got that just sneaky feeling that Ireland may just be a little bit off their best, and Argentina can beat the handicap here, but not a confident call there at all. That there are a few other international games, guys, but I haven't seen any betting on them yet. They're the smaller teams. So, yeah, we could certainly keep an eye on Twitter, and we'll mention them on the Good for the Game forum. But that we'll come back and get you guys' best bets. But we've got two games to talk about in New Zealand with the Bunnings NPC, and that is the two finals that have been played now. Henrik, I'm going to start with you here for the first one. We've got Taranaki -4.5 against Otago. The bits I've seen on Twitter and on WhatsApp and that, there's some money for Otago.
Yeah, Brent, general sentiment seems like most punters are liking the plus here, and maybe even Otago to get the job done here. I've like I've backed Taranaki over this season, and I've mostly got them right. And the big one I got wrong on them was against Otago, where they won by 7, I think, and we were on the -7 on that one. Last week, Taranaki played in the rain. They got the job done against Southland. Otago were really impressive. That forward pack of theirs, I was actually, I didn't expect that, and the scrum were really dominant last week. Taranaki has a good pack as well, so that makes it tough. And I think Otago will probably make a good game of this. But I'm on the minus here, Brent. I can't go against Taranaki here. I think at home, and with it being a final, they will be really up for this. And I like the money that's coming for Otago. I'll wait till the very end before placing my bet on Taranaki. But I also have an outright on them. After week 1, I backed Taranaki at 7-2 for the title. So I've got a solid bet down on that. So I should probably just hope they win. But my style is not that, so I'll probably take a bit of minus as well. So I'm hoping for -3.5 thereabouts, or even 8 to 10, -2.5 maybe. But I'm on the home team here.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about your style. On Saturday, I had a good day, and the way I was shouting, my family knew that I'd had a good day. And then my kids and that, we were talking on Sunday. I said, now I'm getting involved in the rugby. And they're like, what are you doing? You've made a profit. I said, hey, yeah, now's the time to fire. We're up. And, you're in the final with Taranaki. I mean, back them. It's all or nothing, Henrik. I think you and I are very similar in that regard. Alex, let's see. You got any opinion on this one?
Yeah, I'm actually on the other side of the fence there. I've been watching quite a lot of Otago recently. I've done pretty well on them against the last couple of games against Manawatu and I can't remember who the team was. I think we mentioned it a minute ago, but I backed them the last few weeks and they've done well. I think a lot of it, at the start of the season, they were missing quite a few players, got a lot of injuries. And in the last kind of 3-4 weeks, they've been able to put out pretty consistent side. I think Taranaki had a few injuries, but they definitely had a bit of a dip the last month or so after a absolute flying start. And I'm generally a punter that likes form at the right time and coming into a finals period with a good kind of few good performances. And Otago are going to be confident. They're going to that game under the roof in Dunedin when they lost by 7. That could have gone either way. That was tight up to the last few minutes. Otago were knocking on the door at the end. And yeah, both teams have pretty much got their full 23, 15 out as they wanted. But I like the consistency that Otago have had over the last few weeks. And Josh Ioane, who I've not particularly been a massive fan of, has actually really impressed me recently, both off the tee, controlling the game, some great little line breaks and putting some people in some good space. I really like him. And I like the Otago back row as well. And Gilbert a fullback. I think they're generally just quite solid. If that's quite a good way of describing the Otago, they're just quite solid. So I like the plus here. I think I got 4.5, maybe 5.5. I can't remember what it was now, so I took that quite early. So I'm happy to go on the plus. I don't think I won't go on the board. I'll take the plus and see how they get on. But yeah, I think Otago might keep this quite tight and maybe even sneak it.
All right, well, let's go on to the other final then. Waikato up against Tasman. Waikato here, and Alex, will start with you, plus 4.5 for home team.
Both these teams have actually cost me quite a bit of money this season. They're generally teams I tend to avoid. I never really know how to read Waikato, whether they're going to turn up and turn it on and win by 20 odd or lose in a close one. So I have done it back Tasman a few times earlier in the season, but they had quite a bit of a mid-season dip and didn't really perform as well as the Tasman side has done. They've dominated this league over the last few years and they have some real star-studded players, but they've just not really been the same this year. So actually, I'm out of this game. There's nothing I really like on this. I think it's probably well set. And I think there's a lot of games that I like more this weekend. I think this could be close. This could go either way. And these teams have cost me a bit of money, and I just never really read either of them. So I'm happy to sit this one out. I'll look at the points line. That might be an angle, but nothing in terms of a cap or on the board or anything.
Right, Hendrik, and before I get you onto this game, I see the other kickoff of the Taranaki Otago game. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, South African time. Are SuperSport covering it? And I know that won't make a difference to you. You'll find a way to watch it. But is it on SuperSport? No?
I think they will, Brent, because with the semi-finals, they showed all 4 semi-finals, and the one was also like 3 o'clock, and it was on SuperSport. So I haven't checked, but I'm sure SuperSport will be showing both these games.
What do you think of this one?
Yeah, on this one, of the two, look, I'm much more confident on the internationals, but of these 2 games, this is my most confident one. And I like the away team here. I think Tasman will beat the minus here. This game is in Hamilton now. So Waikato, they've got the home advantage. But last week, in my opinion, the Crusade. I always said Crusaders. I always make that. Actually, not the Crusaders. Tasman has a lot more Crusaders players than Canterbury. But Canterbury against Waikato, in my opinion, was rubbish versus rubbish. 2 very poor teams. Waikato, they did beat the Canterbury at the end, but yeah, I think they're a poor team. And Tasman, they surprised me by beating Hawke's Bay away from home, and I don't think the final away from home will be a problem for them either. I like the minus a lot here, and I see there has been sentiment for Waikato on the plus, so I hope the money keep coming for Waikato, and I'll get a better line on the minus. But of these 2, I like this one. Of the 2 finals, I like Tasman minus the strongest.
I must say, Hendrik, it's one of the things I always like about you. You know, often if I get on a selection early, or if I like something, and the money comes the other way, I'll start getting nervous that I'm wrong. But I always like Hendrik. He goes, bring the money, get me a better price on my fantasy. I always enjoy that about you. But guys, is there anything I've missed rugby-wise this weekend? I don't think so. Before we get into our best bets, nothing I could think of. I mean, as you say, a few games at market price. That Toyota thing, I don't even know what's happening with it in South Africa. Free State played Barcelona yesterday. I don't even know if it was on TV. I think they played.
What was it on? Actually, I don't know.
Actually, I saw it on the SuperSport schedule, but now that I think about it, I didn't see one mention of it betting one. Maybe it's
I
only
think
next
I
week.
think I saw that the Cheetahs scored 99 points. I think.
Oh, really?
I saw.
Really?
Yeah.
Was
I think I saw someone sent that through.
I didn't see
Sorry?
the odds on that.
I didn't see anything. I wasn't really looking for it, but I didn't see anything.
Sure.
The only other thing we had there this weekend, Brent, over in the UK, the Premiership run a Premiership Rugby Cup, where it's essentially the reserve players for the Premiership, a sprinkling of first team and first team fringe players. So there's a few markets there, and there's still a few teams to come out, but there's some very volatile markets in those because punters go big because the bookies price it like a Premiership game and don't quite know the in-depth of the deeper squad. So there's the markets last week changed, and I got burnt badly last week because the line shifted from 2 games by double digits. So, and unfortunately I got burnt, but there's a few games that haven't really, nothing really huge at the moment, but there's a couple of games on the Premiership Rugby Cup as well.
Okay, well, the guys can look for you on at UK Rugby Bets, on Twitter.
Yeah.
And see if you fancy anything. I know Hendrik likes that. The games with the bookmakers are perhaps not totally up to speed on, where there's a fringe squads and that he says that. I know you always say, Hendrik, and you're so right, that is where the opportunity is to make money. But gentlemen, we've come to the point of the evening where I'm going to ask the guys to stick their necks out and give their best bets. And let's start with you, Hendrik.
Brent, box to beat England. Just to beat them. I think the best you'll get is about 8 to 10 at this stage. Yeah, just go box. That's keep it easy this weekend, and I can't see the box losing.
Right, box straight up on the board for Hendrik there. Reckons you can get about 8 to 10. Alex?
I think that probably is the sensible move of the weekend. I think I'm gonna stay out of that and hope that England can do something. I really like the England half-time box full time at a really big price of 7 to 1. So that's my best bet, but I really like that. I think there's some good value there. If you're after a bit of value, I think I actually was potentially going to move on this Japanese plus at the start because I thought the Scots were going to make changes, but they haven't. So I like Scotland here to put a big performance down and beat the Japanese fairly comfortably. So I'll take the the Scots on the minus.
The Scots on the minus there. And I must say where I'm leaning at the moment is certainly towards South Africa as well. And I might just be tempted to shove France in there as my best bet. We'll have to see about that. So anyway, first of all, thanks to all the guys in the live chat. I don't know, but I'm pretty certain we set a record of comments in the live chat here. I think probably since at least the World Cup final last year, there were just comments flowing. I was struggling to listen to the guests and watch the comments at the same time. So top stuff from all the boys in the live chat. I hope you all have winning weekends. And certainly the way we were aligned on a lot of the games, hopefully we all can have winning weekends. And then to the boys on the panel, Hendrik, as always, great having you on. Some nice, firm, confident calls there. And I know you'll have plenty of followers and enjoy the rugby.
Thanks, Brent. You must enjoy it as well. And I hope your good form keeps going. And go to French for you,
Excellent. Yeah, looking so forward to that one. And Alex, thanks, as I say, for joining us. And I know it's always more difficult for the guys in the UK when the time zones change and it's sort of 7 p.m. when the kids are still running around or awake, but really appreciate it and enjoy following your tips on Twitter as well. And have a cracking weekend and thanks a lot.
Cheers, Brent. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this weekend. And I really do hope the French beat the All Blacks for a 2 in a row. That would be fantastic.
Excellent. Well, it looks like all the boys are looking forward to the weekend. A couple of other bets being thrown in there. Thanks, everyone. We look forward to next weekend. We don't have international rugby, but we've got United Rugby Championship and Gallagher Premiership. Until then, let's hit those bookmakers hard this weekend. And I think it's fair to say, perhaps with the exception of Alex, go the box.